Yeah.
Hello, Bren in the house.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Right. The technical issues of these live streams never fail to amaze me every single fucking time. I try to connect TikTok because I'm doing the TikTok live streaming.
Yeah.
And you know what? I thought bugger it is this whole stream key thing that you've got to do in the background.
Yeah.
And I obviously need to download some software or something like that, but we'll do it on the next one. And
yeah, I was having trouble with TikTok when I was using StreamYard, and even the one I use right now, EV Mux. I think TikTok, from what unless they changed it with StreamYard recently, it's like a whole, you have to stream separately on TikTok, I think.
Right. Okay.
But
It was interesting because I had some guys in India singing and banging a drum that had like a tambourine. But the problem was, obviously, because I don't have TikTok on my desktop, I can't find the tab where it's open. And I'm trying to get the live stream going. Fucking hell, what the fuck's going on?
Well, we're here. But for the people who are pulling up, hope everyone's having an amazing day. I think the last time Jayden and I did these streams was maybe like a week ago. But we usually, we do it once or twice a week. It's always great to come and together with Jayden. Jayden's actually been, for those of you guys who are tuning in from my channel, definitely shoot him a follow. You probably have seen his face, probably looks familiar because his clips about NFTs and crypto and stuff, like his face clips, have been going pretty crazy on the Twitter algo, especially if you're in the NFT world. So excited to do this today again with you, Jayden. We're going to go ahead and talk obviously about crypto. It's just been such a slow time in the market lately, but we'll talk about why I think that's a feature, not a bug. Usually the kind of bottoms or kind of end of these corrections kind of act this way. We'll talk about NFTs, a lot of other great stuff. But before we get started, if you guys could like, comment, retweet, share, obviously follow if you haven't already. It's always appreciated. And then let us know two things in the chat. Where you're tuning in from, what part of the world, and then if this is your first time in the stream.
I love that, mate. This is the quickest I've ever gone to 108 viewers in a stream, and it's been a botch job. We're late to the stream, but it's all good, my man. Listen, I appreciate the intro. The last time we spoke, you said that you were going to kind of dox yourself, and you've still got your avatar there. Although I've got a lot of love for GVC. What happened, my man?
No, I said by the end of the month.
Are we kicking the can down the road now? Are we?
No. I'm pretty sure I said by the end of the month. No, it's in the works. It really is. I know I've been saying it for a bit, but in the works, I'm meaning like it's about to happen. But anyway, yeah, I'm excited to do that as well. We're talking about TikTok, definitely putting like the faceless clips, especially of these streams. It's an interesting way to stop the scroll. It's a little interesting, but I'm excited to do that finally. But Jayden, how's your go ahead, sorry. No, my bad.
I was going to say, mate, we need to lock this down on a Monday, bro. We need to get this in. This is our time on a Monday to do these charts. When you did your TA stuff, and I'll give you some flowers. In fact, Tribe, we jumped on a Spaces call and actually spoke to him. Good guy. But before Christmas, you called the TA stuff perfectly, and I'll be completely honest. Like, I'm kind of I had been quite skeptical of it, apart from that kind of wedge pattern, which is like just plays out every single time. But you called it perfectly. I know there's a lot of stuff that's kind of probabilistic outcomes. So I'm really looking forward to what you've got in store for us, mate. Because obviously there's this fucking poly market thing has popped up again about this government lockdown, and it's just like, could there be any more pain? I mean, how are you feeling about things, bud?
I'm feeling good. I know it's just been an interesting time, obviously, with gold and silver going crazy too. A lot of people attributing that to some type of collapse. Obviously, the government shutdown was scaring a lot of people, and then I think if I read correctly, they averted that. I think, right?
Right. Okay.
But overall, I'm feeling pretty good. Like I said, I think outside of like these few small blips with the Clarity Act kind of coming to a standstill. But overall, I think everything outside of price action is extremely bullish. You have risk assets strong for the last few months. You have the regulatory stuff, institutional growth still going. I think that once price action kind of lines up in this bottom forms, which we'll talk about here, I think that this sentiment that we're talking about will shift.
Just share your screen a second, bud.
Yeah.
So just pop it in the share screen. Because I think the last time you and I went off on a tangent and we weren't sharing the screen.
Yeah.
No, you're good, bro. So I'll just pop it up on stage.
But just to go off what I'm saying, I think Bitcoin, last time we were here, I think like you were saying, Jayden, we did a stream near Christmas. First of all, we did a stream in November, like right near this bottom on this clip that I have on my Twitter here. Got 45K views. It's gotten pretty good through this
insane month.
But it's really we were talking about in this clip is that this is pretty much right when this 81K Bitcoin bottom formed, and I talked about how pretty much if you look back on the higher time frame charts, which everyone should be doing, that's where most of the alpha when there's I understand why most people are skeptical of charts because they're really zoomed in on the lower time frame stuff, but like the real repeatable like alpha on charts is on the higher time frames. And if you look how every one of these Bitcoin corrections since the bull run started they've all ended with consolidation, which is essentially holding a certain low for like 3 to 8 weeks. This time Bitcoin's been holding it for 9 weeks. So I said in that clip in November that Bitcoin, if it is going to form a bottom here, we want to see some consolidation. 8 weeks later, we're still in that consolidation, which to most people, they're falling asleep. It's boring, and I get it. But this is actually a feature, not a bug, I think, because again, the longer the consolidation, usually again, 4 out of 4 times, just to close it off, 4 to 4 times to when Bitcoin is formed this big of a consolidation, even 3 weeks of consolidation, it's led to not only a bounce, but all-time highs 4 out of 4 times since this bull run started. So I think much of that's going to play out, whether we hit all-time highs or not. A lot of smart people like Benjamin Cohen, I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah, I do,
A lot of people think we might get a bounce here and then roll over like we did in 2022. Yeah. I tend to think that probabilities still favor an all-time high, just like we saw over 4 times. but we can go and get into that, I'm sure.
What like an all-time high in February?
I don't know about February. If we look at how fast these moves take to go from bottom to all-time highs, it's usually 1 or 2 months. So if we were to bottom out here in the next few weeks, I could see February, March, sometime in Q1.
Okay, that's interesting. I think some of the sentiment that I'm picking up on the timeline is basically how tiring this cycle has been. You know, I think people were kind of having that old 4-year cycle framework, and when you play to that framework and you have a timeline or a time horizon, and you should have a time horizon, but when it doesn't quite play out and it kind of lags a little bit, it can be quite painful for a whole bunch of folks, especially if you're in alts, because obviously when those drawdown happens, they bleed the most. Now, obviously we're we're looking at Bitcoin, but what can you see in terms of? I mean, we can move on to that in a second. But what can you see in terms of like the Ethereum chart and any of the alts that you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, like Bitcoin is going to drive everything, Bitcoin and ETH, right? So I think the main, top majors and then other stuff will always follow Bitcoin, at least the stuff that's still surviving. But Ethereum's honestly a really interesting setup right now and a really clean one.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing, like what has me so confident that this is the bottom or why this is such a strong setup is, again, through 8 weeks of consolidation, which every time that this has happened, even on ETH and Bitcoin, multiple weeks of consolidation after these corrections leads to at least a big bounce. Ethereum, though, why it's really obvious is I think it's hit this low here and it's kind of chopping around. If we were to consolidate here for, another week or so above here, that would be even stronger. And I do think, just like Bitcoin, that this base here that we're forming, this consolidation, is going to act as a base to lead us above this 3,400 high here in probably the next couple months.
Yeah, I love that. Obviously, NFTs, a huge function of the NFT ecosystem is Ethereum. I've noticed that obviously when ETH recovers, the NFTs are now recovering as well. Obviously, the NFT market's been hotting up. It's actually been really exciting. It's good to see a load of your people that have dived into the chat. They've kind of got the PFPs, so they've definitely got the NFT bug. Have you seen some of the LinkedIn stuff I've put out?
Yeah. I've been reading those. It's funny to see some of those guys' comments. It's hilarious.
It's fucking crazy, mate. I've got like branding experts, CEOs, marketing experts. They're all reaching out to me, like taking a screenshot of my ape and then messaging me to say, "Oh yeah, now I own it." And there's one guy on there. He honestly thought I needed a welfare check. He was like, bro, he thought I needed a welfare check because I was collecting these NFTs because I'm posting them. I mean, I sold one the other day, which is the first one I've sold in like 3.5 years. And I was going to post that, and I thought, no, just people just can't get their brains to, comprehend why someone would pay so much for it until you realize that it's actually just a contract. I just want to stay on the charts a second. If can you, because I know certainly a lot of my readers are in the SUI ecosystem. I know that there was a lot spoken about SUI at the Real Vision conference. I can't actually remember the name of it, what they call it. It's certainly my chosen pick for this cycle, just because it has a kind of low float, and there's that kind of built-in supply friction with the float, and the unlocks kind of only happen in the next couple of years. So you have that supply friction, hopefully in a bull market. So you get these parabolic rises, but also you bleed the most. You'll probably know about this kind of being in altcoins or even meme coins. What are your thoughts on what you can see? Is this the SUI chart now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me what you're seeing, bud, and tell me what some of these lines are. If you're someone who's a complete novice at the TA stuff, how would you explain this to someone?
Yeah, for sure. So, again, like I explain this every show, but it's really the way I see the market and what these lines are pretty much is that every asset in the world, doesn't matter if it's a crypto, if it's a coin, a stock, a metal, if it has these candlestick charts, essentially, or even line charts, every market is in one of three phases at any given time. Whether it's impulsing, which is the easiest to spot,
Yeah.
these big
Yeah.
moves up, big green candles at one given time, red candles too. Corrections, which are the corrections in between, pullbacks, cool off periods, and then tops or bottoms, right?
Right.
They're called peaks, right?
Okay.
Each of these phases has distinct characteristics, right? That the impulses are big green or red candles all at once. These are the moves you want to be
Yeah.
catching, right?
Yeah.
Corrections are pullbacks. They're more choppy. Oftentimes form these corrective like channels or wedges, some people like to call
Yeah.
them. And then peaks, which are more usually consolidation, made up of consolidation, right? So
Okay.
what we're seeing on here on Sui, even though it's a big kind of move down and a lot more impulsive in nature than these other moves that we've had since 2024, I
Yeah.
still think that what we've seen the last few months, specifically this big consolidation here from November 25th, same as Bitcoin. And I told you a second
Yeah.
ago, peaks, which are tops or bottoms, they're big tell or what they're made up of is usually multiple weeks or months of consolidation. Oftentimes people call these double tops, double bottoms, but essentially they're the longer these hold these lows or highs, the higher chances that it's going to use it as a base to move
Right.
back to all-time highs, very likely, or at least bounce. So the fact that
Okay.
last time, I drew this box here, I think when we were on that stream here in 18th, it did consolidate, moved up, but the whole crypto market kind of came back down one more time. Bitcoin did since our last stream here, and I didn't really say it when we were talking about Bitcoin, but what I think this last leg is that last leg of the double bottom, and
Right.
what's really signifying that too is how choppy and slow this move down is. If this move down here was just a straight red candles down, that would be more impulsive, something we need to worry about. But the fact that this last leg down is chopping slowly towards that tells me that sell pressure is drying up, and that very likely,
Okay.
like I said, this last leg we're seeing here, whether it goes all the way back down under 80, just comes back there barely above it, or moves back right now, I think is going to move back to all-time highs. So same thing on Sui. I think it's just finishing
So
a bigger double bottom.
okay. So that white line that you've drawn, probabilistically, how long does that take to play out?
See, yeah, like the timing on these, like I said, right here, I have it like taking off on February 10th. It literally could take off today, tomorrow.
Right.
Especially this last part here, I just have it drawn out as what I think is going to happen. Like I said, these Bitcoin consolidations the last 4 times have been anywhere between 3 and 8 weeks. This one's 9 weeks. It's the biggest one we've ever seen. So, like I
Yeah.
said, I think a bottom is imminent, whether it comes back down one more time. I think in the next few weeks that we'll see a bottom in all the majors.
Okay. Well, that's exciting. I say it's exciting. Obviously, we've kind of had this for most of 2025. What's your kind of outlook for 2026? I know that the backdrop of financial conditions is much more positive, but we're seeing that that famous M2 money chart that people keep sharing, which is correlated with Bitcoin when you give it like a 12-week lead. That's broken away from that now, because obviously people would ordinarily sell at the end of last year, which they did. We had the 10-10 crash, which was not ideal because you had a whole bunch of people in leverage because they were playing the 4-year cycle. Then a whole bunch of whales sold off their Bitcoin in December. How are you looking at 2026? Is this the year that you're going to take profit, or are you doubling down, or you kind of is now a good time to nibble, or how are you thinking about things?
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's a few different scenarios of how this year could play out. And I think a lot of it is just driven on how powerful and what this next bounce is going to do, right? I think the fundamentals outside of price action, which I think most people on crypto Twitter, we talk about a lot of these times on these streams, that like the sentiment on crypto Twitter is dominated by the last few weeks of price action, right? People tend to ignore all the great things that are happening in the background with the regulation and all that, because oftentimes it doesn't contribute to price going up right away. So when I see all these things happening in the background, all the positive things, fundamentals, And then I see price action that looks very similar to all these different bottoms. All I can say here is that I'm very confident in a bounce. And we've seen how quickly sentiment can change on crypto Twitter and in general from just a small
100%.
bounce. Remember from our last stream, a couple streams ago, people were just like down in the dumps, kind of like they are now, just kind of bored, nothing going on. But just that small bounce in the last few weeks got everybody talking again. NFT started to go up. So once we get a bounce and a move above, like, let's say 95, 96, I think quickly we'll see the more risk on or start to see everything start to move up, a lot of the memes and alts and stuff that survived. But to answer your question more directly, I think at that point, if we were to get a bounce and then this 200 red moving average here at about 104, if it were to go up here, failed to break above that, and then come back down one more time, I could also see a small chance of that happening. That would be more like 2022, where Bitcoin bounced, Bitcoin bounced but failed to break higher and then came back down for a bigger bear.
What do you think? And you're not going to know the answer to this, but I'd like to get your opinion. Obviously, the Trump is going to appoint a new Fed chair, unless he's done that already.
Yeah.
What do you think the policy will be? Do you think he'll just drop interest rates to like zero, or because I mean Trump's stance on it is that it's just an accounting thing. It's just like, the inflation seems to be okay. It's at it's like 2.6%. So it's kind of hovered at that. There's a lot of economists who don't believe in the whole sticky inflation thing, which is probably about right. We had so much money pumped into the system after COVID. It's kind of like, well, maybe we just need to accept that inflation is going to be slightly higher. But the interest payments on the debt that the US are paying is crowding out spending, which is why it's not growing the economy, even though M2 money supplies are at like all-time highs. But you guys are paying interest out your asses. I mean, have you got any like personal thoughts on it? Do you think rates come down? Do you think it even has an impact?
Yeah. So, I mean, I try to keep up with these things. I watch interviews and stuff, not as much as I have in the past years. But the micro stuff, again, it's just like so volatile. I tend to think that, the new Fed chair, they will continue to drive interest rates down. And at what pace, who knows? But I think overall the system, we've talked about before that, like, they probably do need to roll over the debt one. And then the system is so high on like stimulus and like money printing overall on the long term that they're going to need to print again anyway. So I think long-term macro over the next 2, 3, 5 years, they're going to continue to debase and print and stuff like that. Over the micro, I'm not really sure what they're going to do or how it's going to play out. I think unless something breaks, that over the next year that interest rates will continue to trend down. How far are they going to let it go? I don't know. But I mean, we didn't even need interest rates to drop or drop hard for crypto to run the last 3 or 4 years. I'm not sure it's going to matter as far as crypto goes, but obviously if they do start printing money for whatever reason, I think we'll start to see assets, accelerate.
Yeah. I mean, because you think about it logically, if interest rates come down dramatically, a whole bunch of people are going to refinance stuff. A whole bunch of people that got locked into, say, the higher rates. I know there were a whole bunch of people who locked in 0% interest rates, like for 5 years or whatever. But a whole bunch of people who've got loans, all of a sudden those loans now become easier to service. You're going to refinance them. You're going to have more money in your pockets. And I think that money is probably going to find its way into some of these risk assets. I always find, like, with some of the majors, in fact, all of them, like Bitcoin, Solana, Sui, XRP, Doge, I just find like they're just buy and holds, and they're not actually that interesting to talk about. Like, it's weird. Like, I get this weird thing, like, and you'll know this from being in NFTs, but there's so many different dynamics or community dynamics to NFTs that when it comes to talking about Bitcoin, I'm kind of like, well, we got to probably lean to make it interesting. It's kind of like you got to talk a bit about politics or something, or talk about what Trump might be doing, and then it's like, and then you start pissing people off because you're like, maybe you kind of talk about something that other people don't agree with, and it becomes a political thing.
Especially right now, dude. It's like,
bro, dude, what the fuck is going on?
I mean,
what the
dude,
fuck is going on? Like, I just like, it's just like,
it's just a fuck time overall. There's so much going on, like you said, politically and
mm,
stuff too. But then also, like you just said a second ago, it's like, dude, trust me, I'm a chart guy and I love looking at fucking charts a lot of times, especially when they're moving. But
yeah,
it's like we're talking. It's definitely like all that there is that's to talk about is Bitcoin and ETH and Sol right now, and they're barely even moving too. And people should be talking about it because again, like Bitcoin drives the entire market. Once Bitcoin drives
yeah.
up, the rest of the market will move. But dude, I'm right there with you. It's like, especially with
You,
the algorithm too. It's like another thing is similar topic that unless you're talking about the topical thing of the day, most
yeah.
posts that you post, if you had 10, 20,000, 5,000 followers, they get pushed. Now they push out much
Yeah.
slower. It's just a weird time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. Obviously, as you mentioned at the top of the call, I'm doing these green screens. I do them on TikTok, unless I talk about Bitcoin, which has, I guess, more mind share. It doesn't get any reach, and actually, it's a bit of a litmus test for how people are thinking.
Yeah.
I talk about NFTs, and I think, oh, this is gonna cook because it's a good video and blah blah blah. And then I'm like, on TikTok, it's got like 250 views, but my Bitcoin video has got like 10,000, which isn't as good because I guess it just dominates more of the mind share. But do you think naturally, as people are holding these assets and their risk appetite improves over time, do you think they'll rotate into either smaller, less liquid altcoins or meme coins, but also NFTs?
Yeah, I do. I think we just see it every time. It's just how crypto works. Like since all these cycles, even since my first one in 2016, 2017, is that
Yeah,
once Bitcoin moves up, um, and Bitcoin moves up, the majors move up a little bit. That obviously flows into the smaller coins. I think in 2016 and 2020 there was a retail mania, so there was new
yeah,
money coming into crypto all the time, which was pushing these prices higher. But this time, I think it was just institutional capital coming in, which made the people on crypto Twitter and people that are already in cryptos, Bitcoin and ETH, more like worth more, which then flew
yeah,
into meme coins. But we didn't get that overall altcoin season because we didn't have new capital coming in. But I do think that in the next few years that the world is kind of ready for that kind of retail push, retail mania. I think the world is kind of in, and it's hard to predict these
yeah,
things. Like nobody wants to predict, oh, I think, there's going to be a retail mania in this amount of time, but I think the world's due for it. And that's kind of, just to answer your question, why we haven't seen a kind of quote unquote altcoin season where NFTs, crypto, all these things are running at once, is because it's kind of been the
yeah.
same amount of money in the altcoin cycle and money getting extracted from meme coin stuff. So to answer your
Do
question,
you
yeah,
think?
I think Bitcoin moves up this time, and in 2026, especially if we move above 100K, we start to see new money coming in for the first time in a long time.
Do you think? I mean, there's a whole bunch of people expecting the kind of the next cab off the rank. Last cycle was Solana that went on an absolute run. The cycle before was Ethereum, and obviously there's a few others. But do you think with the volume of coins that are out there that we have those parabolic rises in some of those coins, or do you think it's more conservative? Because I kind of been thinking about this. I think. Because these are network adoption models, it's kind of a race to the top for the next one. And then as I guess money rotates out of Bitcoin into Ethereum, into Solana, which are kind of like the locked in blue chips. I think XRP and Doge have got their own kind of ecosystems. They kind of operate independently because they've got cult like followings. But in terms of the next rotation out of those that I've mentioned, is there any like L1 that you are kind of bullish on, or anyone that you kind of look at that you think this is going to be the one?
As far as L1s, there's not anything that's like come out the last few years that I'm really like new one.
Yeah,
Cool. So I really like again ETH Soul, Sui, like you're talking about. I think Sui would continue to do well. One that not an AVAX, one that is actually turning into an L1, or is going to launch their own L1 soon, is Aster, which obviously got big because it is the token attached to like obviously Hyperliquid. It's like Binance or BNB's
That's it,
version
yeah.
of.
But was there something that CZ was backing it, and then it came out that he wasn't, or something like that?
No, he has. He has actually as many
Yes.
times as like posted that he's buying it. Like, yeah, there's essentially
Right. Okay.
Binance's like L1 that they're essentially building.
Okay.
They're hyper liquid. So essentially, so far it's just been a perp dex,
Okay.
where you could trade that, but they're launching a full L1. So as far as like new L1s that are not like already at 10 billion, I think Astra's
Yeah.
one to pay attention to for the reasons you
Yeah.
just named above, because CZ and Binance is backing and they have a flywheel
Yeah.
and a bunch of good stuff.
No, I love that. And in terms of hyperliquid, you got any thoughts on that? Because I know that
Yeah.
keeps coming. The thing with all this stuff, and like, you know, obviously, I do the video and you do your stuff as well. So you probably get people reach out to you, go, oh, what about this coin or what about that coin? It comes to a stage where you're just like, fuck, I can't sit. I can only put my ass on one toilet seat here, guys. Like I can only do one thing at a time, and it just stretches your bandwidth.
Yeah.
And it dilutes your capital allocation. So you got to kind of just go, well, I got to pick my poison, and I got to pick the thing that I'm most bullish on, and I just allocate as much concentrated capital as possible into that one thing. And then if I want to dabble on something that I think's got a moonshot, then I'll kind of do that. But yeah, so I just cut you up there.
No worries. I really like Hyperliquid for sure, because really, besides the L1s, like we just talked about, Aster kind of being an L1, but also falling in this box that I'm talking about now. In altcoins, there's two sectors that I'm really kind of bullish on. Is the movement coins, like we're talking about, SPX, Giga, Mog, those stuff there that I think have survived these corrections, and then the flywheel coins, where there's like these apps that people are using that are producing real revenue and have these flywheels. Hyperliquid's probably the most obvious one. The chart looks really nice too. Nice and corrective chart, down like 50-60%, and is actually popping up pretty impulsively today. I don't know if this is the very bottom, but I really like this long-term chart. And when crypto does bounce back, I think Hyperliquid has a really good shot at probably going back to all-time highs.
Right. Have you seen any of the stuff that's happening in the TokenWorks ecosystem? Are you following along with any of that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Have been buying Punkster, Vibester, and then another one.
I love it.
Vibester is just really interesting to me. I think what they're doing. Chimper's doing good stuff with theirs too, and integrating it as their like official token or whatever. But I think Vibester, Good Vibes, is doing it probably the best out of anybody right now.
Yeah, they are. I mean, obviously you've got a whole bunch of your guys watching. Would they know what the TokenWorks flywheel is? Or a lot
of people would, but why don't you give them a little bit of a breakdown, because I know you guys talk a lot about that.
Yeah, so I mean, just for people listening, it's funny. I did a video earlier about obviously Punk strategy and the stuff that's happening with TokenWorks, and basically it's a flywheel system, which when you buy the token, it takes a 10% rake and goes into a treasury, and as the treasury builds up, it buys the cheapest CryptoPunk, but then automatically relists it at a 1.2 times premium. And what has actually happened with this Punkster token is there's now 39 of these CryptoPunks in the protocol, and a floor CryptoPunk is like 85 grand. But the interesting thing with this protocol is what it does is when it sells, it takes all of the proceeds from the sale, and the profits, and it goes towards burning Punk strategy. So it's burnt like 6% of the supply. They've sold 5 CryptoPunks already, and what I don't know if it was done on purpose or was done by design or was a fucking accident, but what they've actually solved is a problem that NFTs had, which was also kind of like a feature and a benefit, which was the built-in supply friction and the scarcity. The downside of NFTs is the thing that makes it a positive thing, which is the scarcity, because what happens is people pile into a popular project, and like your PFP, and let's say the floor price gets to, it's a 0.85 or whatever the floor price is. That's a lot of money for a PFP for a lot of people. I imagine that Good Vibes Club will probably go to 10 Ethereum. I think it's fucking coded, in my opinion. It's got the mind share. There's so little supply. The art hits. It's such a good social signaling vehicle, and the founders actually live the brand. So I think it's a big one. But the Vibester, which is now like the strategy token, allows people to arbitrage the price appreciation of the NFT project without spending 0.9 Ethereum on an NFT. So you can buy $10, $20 worth. And I don't know if it was you that said this, but there's a reason why the market cap of meme coins is like 70, 80 billion. And the market cap of, I think, NFTs at the top went to 17 billion. And this cycle, I think the top of the market cap is something like 6 billion because it prices people out. So these strategy tokens are going to be like an ecosystem play. And it's funny, just before I got on, Betty from Deadfellas, which is like a iconic NFT project that launched in 2021, they did like 100 million in trading volume. They are going to adopt it as their native token. So the TGEs, like the way Moonbirds did it, or the way Pudgy Penguins did it, where they airdrop people tokens, that's going to be a thing of the past. That is going to be a thing of the past. These strategy tokens are how people are going to launch tokens, because there's a lot more synergy between the NFT and the actual token. So it's going to be fucking interesting. So I'm bullish on it. I'm more bullish on Punk Strategy because the bit I haven't mentioned is that each time someone buys Vibester, 1% goes towards burning Punk Strategy, and that's the same for every single NFT project that adopts this. So you've got this flywheel of this perpetual buying, burning, or buying, selling, burning, but then it also feeds into all the other NFTs feed into Punk Strategy.
Yep.
So it's gonna be fucking insane. And the thing is that people wait for complete information. I mean, I can't actually believe how many really smart people on the timeline have been fudding this. Some really smart people, like there's one called a guy called Beanie, who's when it comes to tokenomics, he's a genius, but he just comes out with these throwaway comments calling it a Ponzi. Everything's a Ponzi. But I have not heard a single smart comment from anyone to say that this isn't going to be a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the only bear case is if like you think NFTs are just dead here, right? And like,
yeah,
I just like we're saying here, and we haven't talked too much about NFTs yet. I want to do that, but Beanie hasn't tweeted in like 11, 12 days. I was thinking I haven't seen him on my timeline. He's been gone.
Like obviously I respect him. He was, he's a big person in the space, but he says these outlandish things, usually quite negative. Does this prediction thing, and then it plays out, and he says, "I told you so." And if it doesn't play out, you don't hear from him, and it's just like, and then he carries on with the next thing, and he moves on. But as you know, you can be right and you can be wrong in this space, and I don't know why people try and predict stuff. But the Punk Strategy stuff, I just think is such a good, and the beauty of it, Bren, is if you run a business and it is generating revenue and you've got profits, let's say from like plushies or merch or any of these sorts of things, you can market buy your own token with your community. So you can take the supply off the market, but by you buying your token, it buys up the NFT.
Yeah.
Because remember, it takes the 10% rake. So then it's like, well, fuck. You might as well just keep buying the token as a show to the community, but also it gets more people in your ecosystem because they can get in at $20 or $30 or $50, and it gets more people in your ecosystem. But then if the NFT's got a baked-in royalty, because I'm seeing a lot of NFT projects now try and switch their smart contracts or try and get them wrapped in. So there's a baked-in.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about that too. So I know GVC obviously did that. Do you think that's how projects, even the existing projects now, like I know VFriends, Gary's talked about eventually they're going to do a series 3, probably not anytime soon, but like, do you think new projects are always going to do that where the royalties is baked in? Like that's going to be
they've got to. They've got to. That whole bullshit of, I mean, okay, I know NFTs dropped by like 90%, but the whole thing about there needs the whole essence of NFTs in the space is this royalty in perpetuity, which goes back to the original artist. Because the downside of traditional art is you could be an amazing artist, but for you to earn off your career, you need to bring out more art. So it kind of dilutes the original supply. Those are obviously artists, but if you get into a good project, for example, like Good Vibes, you or even VeeFriends, and they decide to bring the royalties back, that is something that they can feed back to holders. So there's actual value that they can feed back to holders. So I think every single project has now got to do this, bring back the royalty element.
Yeah.
I know Deadfellas are going to do it. I know Chimpsters have just done it.
So how are they doing it with their existing collections?
They're either bridging the NFTs or they're putting it in a wrapper. I don't actually understand the kind of technical elements, but if you look on Chimpster's page, because your screen is still shared, so it's what's that from Gary?
No, I'm just reading somebody's comment. I forgot that I'm like on the same screen.
Yeah, no, I thought you were. I was like, fuck it. This guy's just scrolling his Twitter.
I thought I was on the chart screen still. But
no, you're good, bro. No, you're good. So, mate, I think it's interesting. Let me just see if I can get Jacob from Chimpers on here.
So they're gonna put it in an existing wrapper. That's interesting, or in a wrapper.
Yeah, I mean, I actually need to just find out the exact details, but yeah. So it's basically going to enforce the royalties, which is the good thing, because if people buy, there's a percentage in there that they can use to market buy their strategy token. So they could just perpetually just keep buying it. So there's all the incentives are aligned. If someone buys the NFT, it's positive because it's going to generate a royalty. If someone buys the strategy token, it's positive because it's going to generate a rake. So it's just everything's fucking positive. Everything's fucking dopamine. And then if the coin drops, it generates fees because people are selling out their position. So it takes the 10% rake. Mm-hmm. So I'm very bullish on the strategy stuff. I think it's a good play that you've done the punk strategy. But then also I just think it's going to be NFT season as well. So a lot of these collections, you just got to fucking own the NFT.
So are you still in the thinking that again that the NFT season gets ignited mainly by just ETH going to all-time highs, or just like ETH going up?
Yeah, I think so. Like, a lot of people don't buy during the lows because it's scary as fucking hell. Two, it's very counterintuitive that you're going to buy something that no one wants. Well, not no one wants, but that's going down in price. So by definition, there are a portion of people that don't want it. So a lot of people don't buy at the lows, which means when it goes back up again, they're not in profit. And I think people need to be in profit before they think about rotating into NFTs. The reason why 2021 was such a fucking banger is because a bunch of people bought Ethereum at $80. So when ETH went to, I don't know, $2,500 from fucking $80 or whatever it was, all of a sudden buying an NFT for 50 ETH didn't actually mean anything. And this is why NFTs went to Valhalla, because they're a big, a huge function of NFTs is the Ethereum ecosystem. So if people are in profit in ETH, they'll rotate it just like any other asset. If you're in profit with something, but the beauty of the NFTs is the expressive nature. Look at your PFP. There's a whole bunch of people that got PFPs and they're social signaling their profile picture. So I think this is a game of Bitcoin's got to go up. Ethereum will, I know it's lagged. It lagged a lot of the cycle and then had a real good performance towards the end of last year. But I think it's going to have an impact on NFTs. Then the question becomes, which NFTs? Which are going to be the NFTs? I know you're a big VeeFriends maxi. Are there any other projects that you look at? Obviously, you got your GVC.
Yeah, VeeFriends, GVC. I think CryptoPunks, obviously, I think it's mainly two things are going to be like of the existing projects I think are going to do really well, and that's the art. Obviously, the CryptoPunks, the Beeple, the like all the main artists, and then I think the maybe 5 to 10, 12 like IPs that are still, around. I really think like the ones that have a lot of momentum that I really like that I'm, accumulating some. Obviously the V Friends I bought over a year ago, but are really seeing strength. And then the GVC, like I said, I want to buy a few more of those. And then Quirkies and Chimpers, like you see those 3 or 4 projects kind of have the same synergy of like just really strong collectors, people who are really like positive and a lot of positive momentum around those. And I think those ones are really, because they have the momentum behind them, are really going to do well once once demand comes around. And because the supply, also the biggest thing, especially in V Friends, why V Friends is held so strong is because the supply is getting eaten up while demand is still low. What's going to happen when demand's high and supply is eaten up and not many people are selling is that those are the projects, the V Friends, the Chimpers, the GVC, the Quirkies with real collectors. Those are the ones I think are going to go way higher in price.
Yeah. What's your thesis on Quirkies? Because I did speak to Pappy, the founder. Sorry, not the founder. He's kind of taken over the project. I did jump on a call with him. What are your kind of thoughts around that project?
So the same kind of thing, like as far as I think Poppy's a great operator. I think he just has like great energy. This guy is on spaces all the fucking time. They just the collector base itself is a lot of like strong, again, collectors who are focused on the things itself, not really any vibes around airdrops or any of the speculative stuff. But mainly what I've seen so far really is just like Poppy, like you were saying, and just the core community. Just how strong it is, how strong they are, and like just seeing them in spaces and shit all the time. I will admit that is the one versus GVC and V Friends and stuff like that, where I know like certain stuff that's being like the stories and stuff are being told. I need to learn more about like the Quirkies IP itself and what they're planning to do. But I heard on Spaces today they're building a lot of Web3 different stuff as well. So
I mean that's Sorry.
Do you own any?
Is that an ad that's coming up on StreamYard?
No, I think it's on deck screen.
Oh, it's on. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I don't own any Quirkies. I mean, my thesis is very simple, which is Xcopy and Beeple. Now, look, I don't own the higher end Beeple stuff. And Xcopy, it's just like the lower end stuff because I'm not a artsy fartsy person, but I'm also not a moron. And I'm like, right, we've got one little shot here, so we need to collect some of these guys art because they're going to be two of the I guess most defining artists of this generation. But then the question kind of becomes, well, what else is there? And I think like the IP plays is, for me, it's completely obvious that it's V Friends. V Friends basically beats everything, just literally everything. And I know that's going to upset a lot of people, but it just is what it is. And then the historical stuff, because it just needs time to do the heavy lifting. So you just bet on a lot of these historical projects that were pre-2020. I think between 2017 and 2020, 2020, there were only about 20 projects. And then when you go further back, there were even less. So it's kind of like if you just bet on those that got those kind of fixed supplies, as people keep building on Ethereum, those early assets, which were kind of like the ones to kick off the space, will slowly over time just appreciate in value. And I just in the same way that they did in 2021. I mean, Curio Cards is a fucking brilliant one. I was just trying to get NFT scan up, and I'm just I'm gonna share my screen a second. Hold on 2 seconds, bud, because one of the things that people miss is hold on 2 seconds. Share screen. Right, let's get this on here. Share that.
While you're doing that, I'm looking at the chat. We've been kind of neglecting it a bit, but
have we?
Tribe called Rex says it's a clever way to indirectly reward holders while creating a solid floor for the project. Yeah. As far as the token works coins, yeah, for sure. I see David reposted the stream. Appreciate you, bro. What's up, Curtis? Joyce says, hi, what are you guys holding at the moment? Damn, Joyce is from LinkedIn. That's crazy.
Oh mate, this is how we do it, bro. This is the oh, she's probably 1 out of 1,000 people who are not cynical about the space, maybe,
Let's go.
Or she's an AI, but either way,
Yeah.
we'll take it.
Probably both. Both, yeah.
Yeah. Look, okay. Let me just zoom in on this. There's a lot of people that look at floor price, but this is the fucking chart. If you look in on, if you just look at the right hand side of the chart, I need to zoom in on that, but you can see 87. This is VFriend Series 1. 87% of the supply hasn't moved in like 3 years. So what it's telling you, 87%. So people go, oh, fucking VFriends. Like when it was at like 0.7, people are like, fucking VFriends, floors dropped from like 20. Yeah, that's because there's a bunch of bullshit traders trading these assets at the floor. 87%. Bro, if that was Bitcoin, people would be bouncing off the walls about it.
Yep.
So people don't sell this stuff. And it was actually very clever the way he did it, because he actually coached a whole bunch of people. He was like, right, this is going to happen. I'll add your screen back up. He was like, right, we're going to go through a bear market. Don't worry about it, because everyone's going to think it's a fad. And he kind of coached people. There's a bit of squeaking. Is that you or me?
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to unshare your screen. Can you share your screen again? And it's from my outside. Hold on. You can.
Oh, it's outside. Okay, that's cool. As long as it's not me. So yeah, it's. I just think the entire project is just way more thoughtful. And interestingly, did you see the live stream when Spencer and Luca were chatting?
Yes, I saw the one with Luca and then one with Gary as well. Yeah, no, that was cool.
Someone shared a snippet of Spencer talking to Gary. And Spencer was going, I've done these blind boxes, and I know a lot of people have copied me, and I think Chimpers have done it, and maybe Good Vibes Club have done it. I know Chimpers have. And he said a whole bunch of people have copied him. And but we're doing like 10,000 of them, and it's going great, and we've got all these deals and blah blah blah, and it sounds amazing. And then when Gary speaks, it's just like there's daylight. There's just daylight between them. Like so Gary was like, look, I'm going to talk to you like there's no camera here. I'm going to talk to you like this is a business meeting. There's no camera here, and we're going to have a chat about it. He said, I'm getting the same offers, but I'm turning them down. He said, even me with 65 million followers and like a 3,000 person agency, I'm turning down those offers because you don't need to kind of shoot your bolt too early here with this sort of stuff, and you've got time. Is the kind of thing that he was trying to say, which is fucking interesting, mate. Like he's just understanding a business, and his knowledge around it is just on a different level. And in a secret kind of way, he actually quite enjoys it when people underestimate him.
Yep.
It's a weird thing. Like he's like, he actually quite likes it because he likes kind of like, I don't know, sticking it to people. And I'm like, well, actually
sticking it to people. And I feel like it's a form of like fuel. It's like almost like he not puts himself in those positions, but like, yeah, I don't know.
He does put himself, bro. They're fucking at one stage in the bear market. He took the OpenSea link. The Discord link off OpenSea. So it's like, so basically, it was an opportunity for his inner fans to get into this while he was sharing it on. He's like, guys, you got to get into this. So people could have bought these things at cheap, and that is another clever thing because it just means that they're actual collectors. They're not a bunch of people that just want to flip this stuff.
No, for sure. That's exactly what that's what I was seeing right kind of when I started going hard and buying the VFriends, is that there were so many of these people who didn't even know anything to do with that. Like a lot of crossover with the Pudgy Penguins, but didn't know anything that was happening with the Web3 stuff. Like these guys don't care about anything but like VFriends itself, whatnot, like selling and the cards and all that. And I saw, okay, these are true collectors that they're building here. And then Gary was just like, calling the NFTs collectibles. A lot of people in the chat the Discord were kind of like, well, what the fuck? Like, you went from calling these things like whatever to
shares,
shares, kind of that stuff. And it kind of, some people didn't get it. But then now what do we see? The entire industry is starting to realize NFTs are all collectibles. Like, they're just collectability.
That's it.
with utility. So
I mean, I'm with you on that.
I did take that from the stream though. I did see he said that, where he said we're just too early, like to try to get into these big box stores. If you're not going to do well, it could be a big stain. So you kind of want to wait until they're bigger.
Yeah, you nailed that. But yeah, you're spot on. And I do share what you're saying, because when he was saying, "Oh no, these are just collectibles," it kind of sounded like he was just trying to protect himself. And then a whole bunch of people got really disappointed, because when you say something is just a collectible, you don't associate this mega value that everyone thought that was going to happen with these things. But the irony is actually it makes it more valuable. You know, you're seeing with like big purchases. Have you seen that Adam Weitzman, who's basically buying up collections?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah. Oh, mate. We kind of, it's weird, NFTs, mate. It's like you have this dialogue with people and you're just like we've been chatting in the DMs, we've exchanged phone numbers and stuff. I'm trying to get them on the lives. But it's like, in no other world would you ever get close to kind of people like this. It's completely strange. It's completely strange, mate. He fucking hangs out with Julia Roberts.
I know, dude. I saw the video that you guys reviewed too, where I did see that on Instagram, and I didn't even know it was him at first. Where the guy goes up to him and talks to him. Yeah, he's great too. It was weird. When the day he bought the VeeFriends and shit, I don't know where he saw my profile, but then I got a follow from him. I was like, damn, this guy's like, you're so right though, dude. It's the people that, especially last year in 2025, the people that I met, especially through the Telegram and all these places, it's just like you never would imagine that you'd be able to come into contact with any of these people other than in crypto or NFTs.
It's crazy. I mean, like in 2022, we did the VCon thing, and I remember there was an after party at a bar, and I think Snoop Dogg was meant to be there, and Liam Payne. Payne was there, and he was at the bar by himself. So it's like, I walk over, I'm like, all right, mate. And he obviously hears my English accent, and we just start talking.
That's crazy.
He's got his VIP section. The bar staff are in like, they couldn't believe this fucking One Direction star is there or whatever. And obviously, I don't know the guy from a bar of soap. Like, I knew he was famous or whatever, but I don't know. I don't really have that thing with famous people, to be honest. And then we just ended up, like, the whole bunch of us, there were 4 or 5 of us, just ended up having a beer with him. And he was talking about, you know, I can't remember where he comes from.
Wait, so he was at VCon?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. He was speaking on stage. He actually, and this is probably the ugly side of NFTs, which is obviously, you know, he's passed away now. He had a Lonely Bug NFT project, which he launched. Straight after he dies, people start fucking trading this thing, bro. Like, literally, as it comes out in the news, people are trying to flip it on the secondary market, and the price is going up because, you know, as if an artist dies, their work just goes up in value. Like if Gary Vee died tomorrow, I mean, fucking VeeFriends would be 10 ETH.
See, that's I don't even want to talk about this, but
I don't either.
I think there's a case to be made, but then also they might go down because, again, in this stage, Gary says this himself, so I don't really feel bad about. So he talks about this on like everything, that the only way he doesn't take these things to, like, you know, to be really big is if tragically something happens to him. So I don't know. On either side, I think instantly they would go up, but then, you know, like in the mid to long term, they might go down on that case.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. He said something, 'cause over the years I have kind of watched his stuff quite a lot, and he said something interesting on a stream or an interview once, and he said he's actually got money buried in the ground. So in the event of like some fucking doomsday thing or whatever. So if he's done that, I'd imagine he's got some continuity or risk plan in place in the event that he dies. Like, okay, a portion of the shares goes towards VFriend holders of his businesses or something like that. I'd imagine he'd have something like that in place because he values his reputation so much.
Yeah.
That you imagine if he dies and he just fucking pisses off all his fans because the fucking VFriends are not that he would piss off, not that I'd be pissed or whatever, it just is what it is. But you know a good hedge is to buy the Beeple art. The Beeple art of him is a good hedge.
Yeah.
Because that'll
I think
go
you're
up.
right. Or like the 101 like iconic. No, that's you make a great point. I just think it's this early on. If there's just so much like key man risk or whatever around him, where like would somebody else writing the stories completely like this early on, if something were to happen, like I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing. I think if like 20 years down the line when VFriends is like up there, then I think you're 100% right. Like they like skyrocket like right away. But Cloud. Okay, I was just reading the chat.
David, thanks for reposting, my man. Superman Dan, thanks for reposting. Your guys do repost a lot. That's pretty cool. Clow, he said earlier he's doing the face reveal sometime soon.
He must be at the beginning of the stream soon right now or something.
Yeah. How you doing, Bren?
What's up, Hunter?
Curtis G in the house. Curtis, we've booked a call for tomorrow, my friend. But it's right in the middle of the live stream, so we're gonna need to rebook that. But we can change it for earlier or later, so that's cool. Just letting you know. Carl says your camera shy. I don't think so. Yeah, bro. So I mean, outside of this stuff, I mean, we've been waiting a long time now for a bull run. And I think the people who've kind of round tripped their NFTs, got into some of these alts, watched them go up, and then played the cycle, and then watched them go down. They kind of deserve something, don't they? They deserve a little run here. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. Especially NFT people. It's like fuck.
I did a post that kind of went semi-viral. I said, listen, if you've been holding NFTs since 2021 and you round tripped it, and your NFTs have come back to life, I fucking salute you. And if they haven't, I hope you get therapy.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
But yeah, I think the thing to hang your hat on is that I think Bitcoin, there's a lot of evidence on the charts that I think we are probably going to get a bottom here soon. And if we do, just like every other time it bottoms out, we will see resurgence in everything. I think it's just, again, what fucked with everybody the last year or so is that even when Bitcoin did bounce back in April, it only lasted for like 2 months. So it didn't really give a lot of time for the alts and everything to get going. So when you take that into account, everything's kind of been down for over a year now, more than a year. But I think Bitcoin this time very likely does bounce back for real this time. And if we do get 6+ months of everything like Bitcoin upside, like we did in 2024 and 2023, which I think is inevitably going to happen, that's when we'll see NFTs go crazy and everything. And I think it's inevitably going to happen. And I hope, it happens right here. Because like you said, it's been a long last few years, but I think it'll happen. Yeah,
no, I think you're right, mate. In terms of what you, and we'll kind of finish on this part, but in terms of what you're doing over the next couple of months, are you kind of setting your positions? Are you buying any more? Is now the time to kind of pivot your mindset and think about scaling out your position? And do you have any kind of selling markers that you're looking at? Or is this going like well into 2026?
Yeah. So the first part, for me, it's during these corrections, I always thinking like come into it knowing that we could be in them for 3 to 6 months, sometimes longer even. So anything I'm buying, I'm good with holding and have very high confidence that they're gonna, one, have survived these kind of corrections before, and two, will still have enough strength to come out whenever Bitcoin does go up. So all these positions that I've been buying, over the last 6 months, I'm good with holding until Bitcoin does pop back to the upside. So again, it's those. Obviously, most of my portfolio is in the Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, that in stables, which I'm only growing over time. And then I've just been the last few months just been accumulating those movement coins, the flywheel coins, including the Punkster and all that. and just waiting, dude. Because again, I know sometimes these corrections last 3 months, sometimes they last 6 months, 9 months, sometimes. So I'm good with holding throughout that. I haven't been doing as much buying. I've been doing switching a little bit around in my NFT portfolio, buying more stuff like the Quirkies, the Good Vibes Club. Probably will buy more VFriend stuff. But other than that, dude, just buying and holding and waiting and hoping this correction ends sooner than later. But that's really all you can do. As far as the other parts, there's always markers as far as like euphoria, like as far as how many people, if like a bunch of new people start coming into the space, that's the time right that point where you want to be a little bit more cautious. I like to buy during these corrections, buy and hold with a multi-month time horizon that, and then just take profits on the way up, based on certain milestones. So I don't have to guess where we're at in the cycle. Right. And when you do that, you just take profits on the way up. And then, but really the markers that I would look at is just euphoria. If you start to see your friends again, like everybody start to trade crypto, kind of like how they were in the past, that's when you that's when you ideally want to be starting to take profits, or at least more cautious, and vice versa right now, buying, right now, during these times.
Yeah, I'm kind of fucking with you on that one, my man. I think one of the biggest mistakes I made, no, not really mistakes, but well, it's a mistake if in hindsight I would have done something differently, which is just scaled a little bit out of my position. And then obviously a lot of it went to zero and those sorts of things. But yeah, mate, it's been fucking brilliant catching up with you. I think what we need to do is do these more regularly on a Monday, and just kind of catch up on the charts, because there's a lot of appetite for this stuff, just for people to kind of keep hotter on the pulse of things.
Yep.
And you are so good at this stuff, mate. By what I'm seeing on the chart that you're showing me, you're kind of predicting in the next couple of weeks that we're going to have some sort of recovery if we chop sideways for a bit longer here.
Yeah, exactly. The next month or so. Yeah. Again, this could take a week to happen. This could take 5 days. Could take a couple weeks. But I generally think in Q1, I think we are going to get a bounce in Bitcoin, and very likely, or at least more than likely, a move to all-time highs, I think, despite the terrible sentiment right now.
Yeah, that would be bloody superb. Brent, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, my friend. Let's do this again. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who shared the space. Obviously, this is how the live streams grow. If any of you want the recording, please do me a massive favor. Either head to the link in my bio or go to Carrot Lane or www.carrotlane.com/subscribe, and it will take you straight there. And you just put your email in, or just drop me a DM, however you want to do it. But you can get the recording. And Bren is also on Substack. We've been doing some guest posts together, or we've done one. But that is a good way. If some of you prefer to kind of learn this stuff in written form, that is a good place to go.
For sure. Yeah, let's definitely do it next Monday. Everybody, like I said, check out Jayden on all platforms. He's killing it with those video clips. Definitely check him out, myself and him on TikTok as well, and all the platforms. And yeah, hang in there. I think the best is yet to come whenever we are at the end of this correction, and we'll see you guys next Monday.
Yeah, nice one. Cheers, Tribe, who's just said thanks for the info, guys. Yeah, nice one. See you guys in a bit. Love you lots. Bye-bye. Bye.